Welcome to Red Truck Radio, the Wausau Supply Company podcast where we dive into the people, products, and progress shaping the building industry. Whether you're a contractor, architect, distributor, or just someone who cares about building smarter, we're glad you're here. Today we're diving into one of Wausau Supply's core values, safety, and what it really means to live it, not just check the box. We've got Kris Zwicky and Andy Johnson with us to break down the habits, standards, and real-world stories that shape our culture and employee owners. Let's get started. Welcome, Kris and Andy. How are you guys doing?
Great, yourself?
Doing well. Glad to have you guys here on Red Truck Radio. We're here to talk about safety and environmental leadership and how we put that into action at Wausau Supply. So thanks for joining me. Kris, I'm going to kick it right off to you. In one sentence, what's your mission when it comes to safety at Wausau Supply?
Well, Adam, it goes much further than just making sure people go home safe at the end of the day. It's about making sure that we're continuing to improve and have everybody look out for each other and not be afraid to speak up when they see something wrong.
Yeah, makes sense. So there's a lot of misconceptions around safety. So what would you love to clear up right away when it comes to those misconceptions?
Absolutely. So safety is not the safety department's responsibility. It's leadership's responsibility and every one of our employee owners' responsibility.
Makes sense. Love it. So Andy, I'm going to jump to you. Where do environmental responsibility and safety meet in your world? Because there's got to be overlap there. So where do you see that happening?
Those two really go hand in hand. On the environmental side, obviously, we want to be good stewards. We want to take care of this world that we live in. And on the safety side, those environmental regulations really help us maintain or reduce the risks that our employees could be exposed to.
Excellent. So can you give us an example of where you see that connection, either on the shop floor, in our warehouses? Where do you see that connect?
Our water-based coatings are better for the environment than high VOC options. That makes it a lot easier to keep our employees safe and reduces what goes out.
Yeah, I tell you, we do a lot of plant tours, and customers, contractors, dealers are always amazed when they come into our facility. They see all those large totes of paint, and the first thing they notice is they don't smell any odor there. So very understandable. So kind of throwing this out to both of you guys, being an employee-owned company, I'm sure that has an impact on the way safety is viewed. So how do you think that employee ownership impacts how our employees look at safety?
Well, I think it changes everything. It's the ownership piece. Every employee owner has a direct impact on, where we spend our money, having the ownership to make sure that they work safe and look out for each other and be able to make this a world-class safety environment.
Yeah. Setting those standards, there's got to be some non-negotiables when it comes to safety. So across the network, whether it's on the shop floor, in distribution, in our offices, what are those non-negotiables?
Well, Adam, it's really everything, right? We don't have a safety policy to not follow it, right? So everything, every policy has to be followed. But I would say what really stands out above just following just a simple policy, let's say on wearing ear protection, is the critical policies. So we have specific critical policies that address those behaviors or those situations where an employee could have a life-altering injury, right? Where they're going to be going to the hospital. They might be losing, hopefully not a finger, but they could be spending several nights at a hospital, right? You think about lockout, tagout. Something isn't locked out that an employee we could have a fatality.
Wow. Yeah. A lot of ownership there.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of times there's the idea that as companies institute safety as a more meaningful pillar, that you can have check the box. How do you make sure that we're not just doing that, just checking the box and not instead of living it every day?
Well, I think it comes out to our leaders, right? So we have safety leadership training that we have for all of our supervisors and managers in distribution and production. And the biggest thing that we challenge them on is getting out on the floor and verifying, right? Let's see if they pencil with the pre-job safety checklist, checking that they're following the rules when it comes to wearing safety glasses and their gloves, and just being present out on the floor is one of the biggest ways that we here at Wausau Supply have done a great job of not just checking the logs.
Yeah, good to hear. I always look at, I think about claims and warranty, and not too far after there is safety. It always seems like you could be viewed as the bad guy. How do you personally stay motivated as leading us in safety?
Well, it started at a young age, right? I grew up with a family member that was in the paper industry, and as many people know, paper industry can be very dangerous, right? There's fatalities, there's major life-changing events that can happen with employees, and it kind of instilled a culture of safety and just doing the right thing and making sure that we're looking out for each other. So for me, what motivates me is just working with all levels of this organization and just helping to grow and helping to make sure that we're prepared for what's next. I mean, we're a fast growing company, and that's what makes really my job exciting. Being able to work with CamClad and, future acquisitions is a lot of fun.
That's awesome to hear. And, I watching the evolution since you've joined the team of how we've grown in safety and the improvements we made, I think are very inspiring. And I know on the sales side, sales and marketing side of things, but really throughout the entire company, it's visible every day. Yet we really embrace safety as a core value. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of give me a story, something big or small that shows that safety first mindset in action.
Yeah. So this just happened recently. I spoke earlier about how employees need to look out for each other and speak up and not be afraid. So just recently, we had an employee, hourly employee on the floor, saw a coworker in a machine that wasn't locked down.
Wow.
And it would have been very easy for that employee to look the other way. And they said, no, I'm an employee owner. We have a stake in this business. And they stepped in and got the employee out of the machine. And, that was a life critical violation. So we had to address it as such. But that to me is how much of a change we made from a culture perspective. And we got to continue to drive that all the way down.
Yeah, when you get to an employee level where they know calling out something like that is really in the best interest of not only an organization, but that individual. Yeah, that tell you where we're making sense.
Absolutely.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So we always, on the sales side, we always talk about, what is measured is managed. So what are the metrics that you use to know if the culture is getting stronger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so there's the perception that it's all about TIR. Yeah. Right. It's all about recordables, and
What is TIR?
total incident rate. Okay. Right? So how many recordables per 100 employees, right? So what's interesting is there's that perception, and we've done a great job of starting to change that. So in the last couple of years, we've rolled out what's called a balanced safety scorecard. And on there is not only TIR, but also proactive and reactive metrics that we have. So we're measuring how fast incident investigations are getting closed out, are action items getting closed out from those investigations, are we doing proactive safety audits, are we having discussions out on the floor and documenting that with employees that need to be coached, or we want to provide positive recognition, and so on. So that scorecard allows us to see and measure and be able to gauge how well we are as a company.
Yeah. So Andy, let's jump over to you. And how does responsible environmental practices protect not just team members, but really our neighbors, our communities that we're in? Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Well, when we take responsibility for what we use, obviously there's the base level liability. Those are our products, our waste. So it's important for us to make sure we're not creating future issues for ourselves or for our customers or employees. We have air permits for pretty much all of our paint lines. And so it's very important that we follow the guidance for what's acceptable. And then from there, making sure, you commented about your tours, noticing the snow is not present. But those are the types of things that, if we change different materials, we could affect our neighborhoods, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure our neighborhoods enjoy having us around. Another thing we do every spring, we do a cleanup where different departments are assigned for different sections of the exterior of our property. They go around, clean off any of the waste, any scraps that accumulated over winter, or trash that might have gotten thrown out, passing vehicle or anything like that. Really keeping our property looking good and making sure the neighborhood looks good too.
That's awesome. I'm always told me if you don't judge a book by a cover, but I think you do, and our facilities always represent very well. So, so on the emerging trend side of things, with regulatory landscape, so what's changing there, and how is that impacting your job?
When it comes to the regulatory landscape, there haven't been a ton of changes, but we are very close to monitoring it through newsletters that we get from, in different environmental agencies to OSHA letters that come out. But we also partner very closely with an environmental consultant here in the United States and now in Canada. And there just hasn't been a lot, but we are watching it very closely. We'll just continue to watch, and if we need to adjust, we will.
Very good, very good. So if a team member, a Wausau Supply owner, employee was to remember 3 things about safety this week, what would you want those to be?
So let's talk about the 3. So there's what's called rush factor.
What's that?
Rush factor is where employees, for whatever reason, feel like they need to, for example, run, right? Where all of a sudden they see something wrong on one of their production lines, and instead of taking their time walking, they literally run to the problem, and they can trip, they can fall, and they just put themselves and other people in harm's way. So we preach a lot about the rush factor and getting people to just realize, okay, we're paying you to work safe. We're paying you to come in every single day on time, work together, look out for each other, and just make sure that nobody gets hurt, right? And that is so important. The next one is mindset. Right. So this has to do with distractions. And I preach a lot about this in toolbox talks and just throughout the year that, especially right now, spring is coming. Oh, yeah. Spring has a ton of distractions. You think about how many people want to get out and enjoy the weather and get their pontoon out or go to their kids' baseball game or whatever it may be. How bad would it be if you were stuck in the hospital because of a major injury? Right. So managing those distractions is huge, and it's a constant challenge, and we have to constantly remind our employees to do that. The last one is basics. Stick to the basics, right? PPE, line of fire, doing your pre-job safety inspections, personal attire, just following the policies. So those are the 3: rush factor, mindset, and stick to the basics.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing those. So I hear a lot, we talk about, preventing or when things happen, but I hear this term near misses. What is near misses in the safety world?
So a near misses, we almost got hurt, right? We could have had a major injury. And I look at near misses as our golden opportunity to address and prevent a recordable or serious injury from happening.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So no, I mean, if we can prevent something from happening, that's the best thing. So we have a platform where we can report near misses.
Yeah. So we have a system called Wausau Safe, right? So any employee can log in. Traditionally, it's reported to a supervisor and they log in and enter it. But yeah, everything is tracked from near misses to first aids to recordables to inspection. It's all tracked in that system, and that is a company-wide program at all of our locations.
Yeah. Yeah. So when somebody notices something there, what's the best sentence to use when something just doesn't look right, but you're unsure?
Start asking questions. Just stop, right? Let's just take another look at it, right? Does this feel right, or do we need to get help? That's the biggest thing. Just stop and ask, right?
Yeah. So, again, going back to that, the stigmatism that many times has been associated with safety. I think we've gone leaps and bounds to remove that. But how do we normalize speaking across departments and locations about safety?
So we've done a lot of work with safety committees, all right? And that is one of the best ways we can normalize and get people to recognize that, okay, we have a safety committee, let's say at our 83 Diamond Cove facility. We have representatives from all the areas on the floor that are supposed to be the voice of those employees. So, hey, if I don't feel comfortable going with my supervisor, hey, there's a safety committee member in my area. I want to get that person engaged to help find a solution. So then that safety committee member goes to the meeting, brings up the concern, and then leadership can help that committee address it and help that employee.
Awesome. Real world scenario.
Yeah.
I'm an employee and I see a blocked exit. What should I do? Who should I tell?
So ideally you find it and you fix it, right? So you you address it yourself, right? Simple things like that. We want to empower our employees to be able to, take that ownership piece, right? We're employee owners. We all have a stake in this business. Let's fix it, right? That's not just let it linger and have somebody else take care of it. Now, obviously, if you need to get a forklift involved or something, but if it's a simple cart or a chair or something that you can address it yourself, do it.
So those are great. Where we have employees actually engaging in the solution, I think is another part of safety culture.
Yeah.
But there, as you mentioned, there's instances where that employee may not be able to address that. It's going to take more involvement. How do you ensure then after something has been brought to light that we actually follow through and get that taken care of?
So we train our leadership on that follow-up piece a lot during safety leadership training, because it's so vitally important that employees recognize, okay, if they bring up something, that they're going to see a solution or see something change. I think the big piece too, from an employee ownership perspective, is getting the employee to, when they're presenting that issue, to present a solution as well.
Yeah.
Right. Not just having it where now leadership has to come up with a solution. Our employees on the floor see and work with the equipment every single day. A lot of times they have sometimes the best solution. So come to us with a potential solution right away, and we can work with you on getting it resolved.
So I think about some of our products, obviously building materials. We got a lot of big, unwieldy, heavy, long products. The decking, 20-foot long, diamond coat siding, 16-foot long. Tell me a little bit about the handling of that.
We have a lot of that. And, when you look at our Diamond Coat division, we've done a lot of work on conveyors and equipment that handles that, and where our employees do not have to lift it. However, there are times where the line breaks down, or in distribution, they have to, a custom order, they might only need a few pieces. That's where teamwork really comes into play, where it has to be a team lift, where you have to reach out and say, hey, you know what, I can't lift this by myself. And we're also looking at other tools and equipment to also implement to reduce the risk of that hazard.
So yeah, and I would say, looking at the recent additions to Wadena and the technology there, that really plays into safety too. I mean, no longer do we have guys trying to wield slabs that are air actuated. So
Yeah.
we're using technology to help with safety as well.
It's incredible what we're doing at Wadena. Great example. So when I first started, employees were lifting doors above their head by themselves. Now it's all, for the most part, we're moving to conveyors, we're moving to lift tables, tilt tables, the whole 9 yards. It is incredible. What the future that facility is going to have is going to be amazing. The amount of ergonomic risk that we've reduced, it's gonna pay off.
Well, and I think that shows shows the investment the company is willing to make in the safety of our employees. It's not only to make better products, to be more efficient, more profitable,
Yeah.
but it's also to be a safer company.
Yeah, and be able to make it so that hopefully, we can hire anybody out there, and they can just step in and run the equipment and not have to put themselves in harm's way.
Wow, that's great to hear. So, Wausau Supply is an uber competitive organization. So,
Yeah.
there's got to be some streaks out there going on. Can you tell me about any safety streaks? And then,
Yeah.
what are they doing differently, you think?
Good question. Other place. Very good question, Adam. So we have some pretty incredible facilities out there right now. So 9 of our distribution facilities, I've got 1,000 days without an OSHA recordable. Our Diamond Coat division just hit in January 500 days between all facilities recordable already. That's incredible. In fact, our Stewart Diamond Coat facility went 1,200 days. Wow, amazing. Yeah. So you asked me, what are they doing differently? I already talked about them. It's the 3: the rush factor, the mindset, and the basics. They've mastered that. And when you step into those facilities, you can just tell that there's a lot more ownership across the board.
Yeah, always using real world examples helps people relate to things. So, as we think about, really relying on employees bringing to light safety concerns or opportunities for improvement, can you give one change that we've made because of feedback from an employee?
One of the things that was brought up shortly after I started by basically every single division was our safety shoe program. So back in the day, we partnered with Lehigh safety shoes, and it was a clunky system. Employees had to log on into the system, pick out their shoes. They would get it mailed to them. Hopefully it fit. If it didn't fit, you had to send it back. And it was just a cluster. And one of the things we did is we actually completely eliminated Lehigh, and we basically allowed employees to go anywhere they wanted, and they would get reimbursed.
Wow.
On their next check after turning in their receipt. And that was very well received because it was feedback, direct feedback from our employees. Now, granted, you can't satisfy everybody, but at the end of the day, you now had the ability to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it made a huge impact.
Good. I think that's important that employees see that when they're providing feedback, that there's action taken. That's how you create that flywheel, and you get that going. So recognition is super important. And I think that's also a contributing factor in creating a safety culture. What are you guys doing to recognize safety champions and these where we have great streaks? How do we recognize that?
So first off, the more informal way is that direct interaction, that shout out from the safety department when we're passing through. But we also do a lot of more formal things. The facilities that are setting those records, they're doing things like special lunches. Sometimes there's some swag involved. So it's always nice to wear a shirt that makes that announcement that we set a record.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that, a lot more Wausau shirts and safety called out on that. So while we're always working on new things, new initiatives. So from either of you guys, what important initiatives, upcoming initiatives do you guys have on docket?
Yeah, so we just got through the employee engagement survey, right? So we got some feedback there. There's 3 things that we're looking at there. One is climate in our work environments. What can we do with that? There's a rush factor piece where employees, just feel like they're being rushed. And the other big one is training, right? So obviously, we know that you have to have a lot of safety training for compliance reasons and just be able to try to prevent the next recordable or next serious injury. But we're taking another hard look at that to see, is there ways for us to spread it out more, cut back, and just streamline it so that it's going to be more specific to every employee across the board.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So if Wausau Supply grows, what do we need to protect about the culture, and then what do we need to evolve to continue the safety trend?
So I would say we got to protect the employee ownership piece, where employees feel like they have a stake in the direction that we're going. But I think what we got to involve is the example that I gave earlier, where the hourly employee saw another hourly employee not following the rules, and get to the point where our employees feel comfortable speaking up to other employees, ones that they work with every single day, because that's how we're going to get to world class. That's how we're going to make this one of the safest businesses in the country.
Excellent. Great to hear. So kind of a little lightning round here. Just throw this out there and see whoever's going to answer. But most underrated piece of PPE?
Safety glasses.
Yeah.
Injuries are disgusting and they normally don't heal.
True. Yeah. Like to have both eyes. So yes, very good. Very good. What about a housekeeping habit that you mandate everywhere?
Clean floors. Just, don't let it get sloppy. Just pick it up right away and keep it maintained.
I tell you, that's another thing. Probably before customers mention that they don't smell any odors from our coatings, one of the first things they notice is just the overall cleanliness and the way our facilities look. So kudos to you guys, and really to the employees embracing that as well. So
Yeah.
when you're out on the floor, what's the phrase you want to hear?
Maybe. I have an idea.
There we go.
No doubt. Yeah, love it, love it. Best safety win you've seen this quarter?
I would say Diamond Coat's 500 days. That was huge. For 3 facilities, 3 different states coming together, looking out for each other, speaking up. That was an incredible accomplishment. Along with, and I got to say it, I can't leave them out. At the end of last year, distribution hit world-class safety TIR, 0.58.
Wow,
An incredible accomplishment.
that's great. So where do you classify? Where's world class?
Right.
I mean, I'm at TIR.
Yeah, right now it's 0.75.
Okay.
0.75. We haven't hit it yet as a company, but I'm going to ratchet it down. I can tell you it's already coming. As soon as we hit it, we're going to continue to strive to do better, and I'm going to drop it to a 0.5.
Yeah, under your leadership, we've made phenomenal strides. So kudos to both of you gentlemen and your organizations. Okay, we're going to kind of wrap it up here, but if I ask you both, what's one takeaway you want every listener to remember from this conversation?
Well, I hate to bring it up again, but it's the 3 that I already mentioned, right? It's the rush factor piece, the mindset, and the basics. Those are the 3. I need you to ingrain that into your head and constantly let that guide you and make this company one of the safest in the world.
No doubt about it. Andy, you got anything to add in closing?
Uh, with the ideas you guys bring up, those are so valuable for us. So I would just say keep bringing that up. The idea of, sure, but the idea you guys bring up, those are really valuable. So when you share something, not just the hey, this is all messed up, but hey, here's an issue and here's a thought for a direction it can go. Those are a massive advantage for our company.
I think it's been, one of my takeaways here is no difference than you look at the evolution of our diamond coat siding really came from feedback from the contractor. It sounds like our safety is really formed around feedback from our employees.
Yes, absolutely. You look at our safety committees. I mean, the Wadena safety committee is on fire right now. They are bringing up tons of ideas, working together, taking action items outside of the committee, working those action items to completion, and just making such a huge impact on that division. And I can't wait to see what the other safety committees can do. But also, like what you said, what other ideas and solutions can we get from our employees every single day?
Yeah. Well, want to thank you guys for coming. Safety is obviously a core value at Wausau Supply. It is something that we think about and live every day. So thank you guys for everything you're doing. Thanks for joining us here on Red Truck Radio.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Kris and Andy, for sharing the insights and passion. If there's one thing we hope sticks with you today, it's that safety doesn't happen by accident. It grows from choices we make every day. So this week, try focusing on the big three: rush factor, mindset, basics. Slow down, stay present, and take care of the fundamentals. They're simple, but they make all the difference. Thanks for listening to Red Truck Radio. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you on the next episode.